missed it, so I won't lose it.
All right, our next presenter is Olivia Freiberger.
Alrighty, everyone. So good evening. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you all about making promotional and informative videos for a business. So tonight I'm going to start off with a little scenario for you all, and then after that we're going to introduce you to my client, followed by the pre-production, production, as well as the post-production stages of all three components of my project, followed by a formative as well as a summative evaluation, and then just a conclusion with some final thoughts. So first up, I want to ask you, think of an organization, a business, or a person in your community that has made a difference. Now I want you to think of that organization, business, or person, and what would happen if they weren't properly funded or they never existed. Let's use the college for an example. What if Elizabethtown College never existed? Well, it's safe to say that a lot of businesses in this area might not actually be in business. With the college bringing in about 2,000 students, that's a lot of extra business for this little town. Also, the campus has a lot of opportunities for not only the people that live and attend the campus, but also the community around us. We offer a lot of different things that the community can get involved in. This leads me right into my client. My client this semester was the Ephrata Recreation Center. They are a wellness and fitness center located in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, and they are a building of 65,000 square feet, so that's pretty big. And they have been in their current location for 39 years, and they've been open for a total of 66 years, which is a really long time. So back in February, when I went to the Ephrata Rec Center, I met Jean Wentz, who is the marketing program and membership coordinator, as well as Maria Harnish, who is the program assistant. And I sat down and I said, hey, what do you guys want me to do for you? I would love to help you. Tell me what you want me to do, and tell me how you want me to help the rec center. And they said, well, we want to bring in more families. And I said, okay, well, I know how to do graphic design. I know how to do video production. Would you be interested in me helping you do that? And immediately they said, yes, we need that. So I was like, okay, then let's think about what we're going to do. And they said, why don't we do a 30-second promotional video, a 1-minute informative video, and we'll get into that in a little bit, and finally a graphic. And I said, yes, awesome, sounds great, let's do that. So after that, brought me to my research and trying to figure out how the best way to, brand a company or a business as well as promote them and inform people about them. And I came to my conclusion that the most effective way for a company to do this, to make an informative as well as a promotional video, is to do quick, simple videos, post them on social media, and then this will hopefully increase membership application. So first we're going to start off with the graphic. For those of you who have never heard of Pound, Pound is a high fitness workout that involves drumsticks. And I got an email from Jean that said, hey, we would like a Pound flyer. Can you do this for us? And I said, sure, no problem. And they were hoping that this would not only be distributed in flyer form in the actual rec center, but also be posted online as some sort of, medium in between the paper and online. So I said, sure, that would be great, and I decided the first thing I need to do was pre-production. And in this pre-production stage, I decided that I needed to go to Pound's website and look at how they brand themselves. So I went to their website and I looked at their site, and it was very clean, it was sleek, it was very pretty, and it used a lot of limited color palette. And those colors consisted of neon green, which typically is the color of their drumsticks, as well as white, gray, and black. So I knew right away those were things that I wanted to incorporate with this graphic. So after that, we move on to the production phase, and this is the phase where I actually put together the graphic. And in this phase, I made the graphic in Adobe Photoshop, and it was actually really funny. At one point, I had about 6 different pages open with 6 totally different designs, which was really, really overwhelming. And luckily for some outside eyes, I was able to narrow down the 6 to 3 designs, and 3 designs to the final design, which is what I sent to Jean and Maria. So the first version I sent in actually came back with a couple revisions not too long after. So right now we're going to look at those. The one on your left is the very first one that I sent to Jean and Maria. So now you might be looking at the other one, which is the second revised version, and think, well, it doesn't look like there's much different. Well, Jean and Maria thought that these little bars down here had too much information in them. So what we did was they said, let's shorten those and make them just a little bit shorter so that people don't feel like they're reading forever, because this is very visual. Also, it's kind of hard to tell up here, but the time and the date was made a little bit bigger just to fill out that block a little bit more. So I sent the second revision in to Jean and Maria, and they took a little bit to get back to me, but when they did, they said, hey, there are a couple more things that we would like to change. And I said, okay, sure, what are those? And they said, well, we want to change it to Pound Party. And I said, okay. So I looked for the font of Pound, and it was literally impossible for me to find. So this led me to have to actually make the font on my own. So that's kind of what you can see up there I did. I mean, it looks very, very similar. It's not as thick, but it still gets the point across that Pound Party are together. I also kept the drumsticks in there as well because, as I said before, the drumsticks are kind of their staple. The neon green drumsticks are their staple. So I wanted to make sure that they were in an X form because usually when they take pictures, they're going like this with the sticks. So one of the other big changes that I made was the time and the date. They wanted to make it a lot bigger because they wanted to make sure that when you look at it, that was one of the first things you saw. And you said, okay, it's at this time and it's on this day. Also, you can see kind of the color scheme that I was looking for. The neon green, which is the color of the drumsticks, black, gray, white, and I also threw a little bit of neon purple splatter paint in there as well to kind of keep with the neon. So, and this was actually the final version on your right that was sent to Jean, and this is the version that they printed out in flyer form, handed out, set on a counter for people to pick up, as well as posted on Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, this was the post that they posted. I was scrolling through Facebook, and I quickly zoomed by and was like, wait a second, I think that was my graphic, because they didn't actually tell me when they were going to post it. So I zoomed by it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And I was really excited to see some engagement with the Facebook community. There were some likes, there was a share, there were a bunch of comments with a bunch of tags, and I was really, really hoping that after Jean was talking to me and she told me there was a great turnout for this event, it really made me hope that this flyer being on Facebook as well as being promoted in the rec center was part of the reason it was so successful. So moving on, we're going to start with the two videos that I had to make. The first was the promotional video. So once again, same as the Pound graphic, we have to go through 3 stages: pre-production, pre-production, production, as well as post-production. Just to start with pre-production, according to Hall's 2012, it's very important to make a storyboard. Now, for those of you who don't know what a storyboard is kind of like a grid, and it has a little square. You draw some pictures in it, you write some information down, and this really helps you figure out exactly what you want to show. So here's an example of my storyboard. No, I am not a good artist at all, but that's okay. You don't have to be a good artist. Storyboards are meant to tell what you want to show, as well as show the client what you want to show, and all you have to be able to do is kind of tell what's going on. So this was my storyboard for the promotional video, and actually in the end, a lot of this was not actually used. A lot of these shots were different, so, but we'll get into that then when you guys get to see that. So moving on, after the pre-production phase, we had to map out the location. So according to Bourne and Bernstein 2009, it's very important to map out your location because this makes the time spent in production much quicker. So instead of trying to figure out what exactly you're doing in the production phase, you figure that out earlier so everything moves a lot smoother. So luckily for me, I'm very close to the Ephrata Rec Center. I've been there many, many times, so I really do know where everything is in that building. So fortunately for me, I didn't actually have to really map out my location, but it was really good to find this research and know that that's something that needs to be done before you step into the production process to make it easier. So after that, after figuring all that out, I moved into the production stage. I drove over to the Ephrata Rec Center, and I walked in and I said, Jean, what should I get footage of? What do you want? And she said, well, there's a birthday party. Follow the kids around, and we want to promote to families. So follow the kids and get what they're doing, and hopefully that'll work for us. So that's what I did. I followed kids around. I went to the fitness rooms to see people working out, went to the cardio room, went into the pool, went into the gyms, and just got as much footage as I can because more footage is better than not having enough. So once I did that, I went home and I started the post-production phase of my project, and that was editing the video together. So I imported all of the footage into Final Cut Pro, which is a video editing software. And once I did that, I laid them in my timeline from least quality to best quality, least relevant, most relevant, to really make sure that I was getting a good, like a broad horizon of what exactly we wanted. So after I did that, I kind of put them together in what I thought was the best video that would promote the rec center. And at that point then I needed to go find some music. And I wanted to find some music that really represented the Ephrata Rec Center, which is upbeat, it's fun, it's kid friendly, it's family friendly, it's adult friendly, it's everything. So I wanted to find something fun. So I went to freeplaymusic.com and I was able to find a really good soundtrack that worked. I imported that in. I made sure that I lined it up perfectly with the footage, and then at that point I was done. So in the last step of this phase was exporting the video into an MP4 file, and I uploaded it via Google Drive and sent it to Jean and Maria. So right now we're going to watch that video. I really wanted to keep in mind when doing this video was the use of the rule of thirds as well as a tripod. So according to Cobre 2012, the rule of thirds is very important. For those of you who don't know what the rule of thirds is, it's basically a grid on your screen that has horizontal and vertical lines. Instead of placing your subject or your object right in the middle, which kind of makes it a little boring sometimes, you move them off to the right, to the left, subtly, either way, and it makes it a little more interesting as well as intriguing. And also, according to Hall's 2012, tripods are essential. You want to use a tripod because it not only keeps your videos steady, but it also keeps them very professional, and people are more likely to watch your video if it's not shaking all over the place and it's steady and nice and still. So moving on, we're going to go to the next video, which is the informative video. So once again, we have a pre-production, production, and post-production phase of this video. So during the pre-production phase, once again, Hall's 2012 says it's very important to do storyboards. So at this point in time, I was supposed to get a PowerPoint presentation from Jean, and at that point I had not received it yet, so I was making these storyboards based off of what she had told me. So once again, I am not an artist, but these are some storyboard ideas for this informative video. So through what Jean was telling me, I knew that there was going to be something regarding 4th of July. So I was like, okay, we're going to try and get some fireworks. I knew that there was going to be something involving archery, so I wanted to make sure that that was part of the video as well, because there are sections and each section has its own meaning and has its own opportunity. And this video was really made to tell not only the Ephrata community, but as well as their members, that there are a lot of opportunities that the rec center has that not a lot of people know about. And if they wouldn't exist or were improperly funded, they wouldn't even be there. And some of those include summer camps, the archery club. There are a lot of things they do on the 4th of July that only happened because of the rec center. So we did that, and then once again, mapping out the location is important. So luckily for me, as I said before, I live really close to Ephrata, so a lot of that area I understand and I know the ins and outs of. So I ended up going to a couple of the locations before I ended up shooting video that day. And I just kind of walked the grounds, made sure I knew where I wanted to stand, make sure I knew that everything that I wanted to get was there. So after that comes the production stage, which once again I used the rule of thirds as well as tripods for this video as well. And so after that we went to, I ended up going to the Ephrata Park, which it was a beautiful day out. I couldn't have asked for a better day. There were children everywhere, there were parents, there were people fishing, there were people running. It was a really great atmosphere, and it was great because there were kids there, because that is really what we're trying to target is families, their children and their moms and their dads, or whoever are their legal guardians. So after that, once I got all that footage, we stepped into the post-production stage again, and at that point, I had a lot of footage to sort through. And so what I ended up doing was I imported into Final Cut, once again, most relevant to least relevant, and then the best quality to the least quality. And we went through this entire thing, and I looked through it, I searched through it, and I was able to get every single shot in an order that I thought would be perfect. So at that point, I needed to make some graphics, and when I made these graphics, I wanted to make sure that it not only told you who these opportunities are coming from, which was the rec center, but also the name of what exactly this opportunity was. So once I did that, I put those in with each of the shots according to the new slides, and then I had to do some voiceover. So I had originally, at this point, I had gotten the PowerPoint, which had a lot of the information that I needed to know. So when I got this PowerPoint, I went through and I started writing out a script. Now, after the script was complete, I ended up sending it to both Jean and Maria, and I said, hey, please let me know if there is anything you'd like to change. Almost immediately, they responded and said, hey, we're going to ask a couple other people, but you know what, just keep doing what you're doing, and then we'll get back to you as soon as we know if there are any changes. So at that point, I decided, all right, we're going to do this voiceover. So I used a blue snowball microphone in Adobe Audition, recorded the entire script. I ended up doing the voiceover, and Jean and I were talking, and she said for the time being, that's totally fine. If they would like to change it in the future, the script is readily available for them, so they would be able to do that, and I'd be more than happy to help them with that. So once I imported that into Final Cut Pro, I put it in the timeline, and I tried to cut and make sure that it was in perfect line with everything as best as I could. So at that point, I got an email from Jean that said, hey, we have some changes to the script. And I was like, okay, that's fine, let's redo those. So I actually had to go through, re-record my voiceover, re-export it, re-import it, recut all of it, which is part of the process, and I was able to get that fully put out in a timeline that everyone could understand. And then also, unfortunately, not all footage, not all shots, and not all locations were accessible. A lot of the opportunities that the rec center has are only happen during the summer. So unfortunately, it's not the summer yet, so I wasn't able to get that footage. However, luckily for this PowerPoint, as well as Jean and Maria, they did send me some still photos to fill that void of that empty space that would have had nothing for the description, other than just a black screen. It's good to have at least something. So we used some photos for that. And then after that comes the stage where I exported it. I exported it as, once again, an MP4 and sent it to Jean and Maria. So at that point, it was kind of hard because our original goal for this video was 1 minute. When I exported the video, it was 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So that's a lot of extra time. However, after looking over the script, I realized, there's not really anything I can cut out that it wouldn't make sense if I cut this out. So what I did is I made the executive decision to split it into two. So instead, they would have the same beginning, a different middle, and the same exact ending. So afterwards, I exported both, and I sent them both to Jean and Maria again. And right now, we're going to watch one of those videos.
Did you ever wonder what might happen if the Ephrata Recreation Center wasn't properly funded or never existed? Meet old friends, make new ones, be active, stay young. The Rec Center's Golden Years Club is an active social group for local young at heart seniors age 55 and older. Meetings are held the first Wednesday of each month and include lunch and a program. Programs include local musical and entertainment talent, area history, and informative topics. Golden Years Club members also have opportunities to participate in trips, pinochle, and aquatic fitness classes. The Ephrata Rec Center partners with Akron Borough, Clay Township, Ephrata Borough, and Ephrata Township to offer the Ephrata Area Summer Municipal Recreation Program. All summer municipal kids opportunities are free for residents of participating municipalities. There are over 1,400 residents each summer. The Ephrata Rec Center contracts services with the Borough of Ephrata to serve as its Park and Recreation Department. The Rec maintains over 300 acres of open space. The Rec also manages and staffs summer swimming pools for the Borough of Ephrata and Denver. The Ephrata Bowman Archery Club includes indoor and outdoor ranges, leagues, tournaments, and instruction for all ages. They also offer a big bug contest and a 3D shoot. For more information, Head on over to Ephrata Recreation Center's website at www.ephrataRec.com.
All right, so that was one of the two. As I said before, the second one is actually very, very similar. The beginning is the same, the middle is a little bit different, and then the ending is the same. So the hope is that even though this class is ending and this project is technically over, my hope is to continue working with Jean and Maria to remove the still photos and add eventual actual footage to make it seem a little bit nicer without so many still photos, because there were a lot of things that were inaccessible at the point that we were trying to do this. So at this point, I would like to talk about the formative and summative evaluations. So the formative evaluation is to seek periodic input at critical points of the project to make sure that things are going the way they're supposed to. Throughout this entire project, I have been working with Jean very closely, a lot of emailing, even a lot of texting. I was able to go home and visit anytime I had some questions. So it was really going according to plan the whole time. We were hoping to get these videos done by the end of the semester because they really didn't have a specific deadline for the videos other than the graphic, which had a specific deadline, and we were able to get that done in about a week. So the summative is a little bit more in-depth, and for that, the short-term summative evaluation is to evaluate if the videos and graphics met the defined goals. I personally believe they did. Promotion and informative, both of the videos did exactly what they were supposed to do, as well as the flyer, it did exactly what it was supposed to do to promote the event that they were having. Also in the short term, we wanted to show the graphics to a focus group. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that due to some time constraints, but through EAR, I did learn that Jean had brought it up in a meeting at the Ephrata Rec Center, and it gained a lot of positive feedback. So in the long-term summative evaluation, the first one is to measure an increase of applicants of the memberships. So this is something that Jean and Maria can easily do by comparing previous memberships to memberships after these videos are released. And then secondly, compare membership traffic to before the videos are released as well as after. So there are things such as Facebook analytics as well as YouTube analytics that they will be able to tell who has looked at it, who's viewed it, who's liked it, who's commented, all of that stuff, and then they can compare before with membership applications, particularly amongst families, to afterwards, which is what we were trying to promote, is to families. So finally, in conclusion, the most effective way for a company to use promotional and informative web videos is to use a quick video posted on social media, and this is going to be a way to increase membership applications. I'd like to say that it has been an absolute honor to work with the Ephrata Rec Center. They have been so great, they've been so fantastic, and they've been very lenient with everything that they've had to do and I've had to do. They've been very accepting of the work that I've been making. As I said before, my plan is to continue to hopefully work with them on some sort of basis to make these videos better as opportunities arise. And finally, I would like to thank a couple people. I would like to thank Dr. Johnson, because you are great and you have really helped me these last 3 years, and I don't know if I would have been able to do this without you. I would also like to thank all of my wonderful peers in the front. You know, it's been a great 4 years, and we've had a lot of laughs and a lot of claps, and it's been really great, and I'm just so excited that we've all made it this far. And obviously, thanks to my parents, because you guys are great. So, thank you, everybody. That's it, and enjoy the rest of your night.